this video, we're going to look at how to create a foundation half double crochet. So a foundation half double crochet is a way to create a foundation for a piece without having to chain and then work into each one of those chains. So it actually creates that bottom chain and the next row at the same time. Oftentimes beginners or even people who've been crocheting for years find that the most annoying part of a project is working across that chain. So this technique really eliminates that frustration and it gets you sort of a head start on your piece. So I will be using some worsted weight yarn and a 5.5 millimeter hook. And we'll start with a slip knot. So if you've never done that before, the way I like to do it is I place the tail over my fingers. I wrap that yarn around and create an X. And then I turn my hand over and pull that through. And that creates a nice little slip knot. Okay, so to get started, we are going to chain 2. So this is for our half double crochet. So we've chained 2 and we're going to yarn over and we are actually going to work into that first stitch or that first chain. And I like to go into underneath that top loop and then underneath that back spine. Like that, and pull up a loop. And then this is where it differs a little bit. So we are going to create that foundation chain by chaining 1 through that first loop. And then we're going to do a half double by pulling a new loop through all 3. Now we're going to yarn over and we're going to go into this chain that we just created. So it's as if we were working across the chain that already exists, but we're building it as we go. So we're working into this chain here. Let's see. So underneath that top strand and the back bump there. Get my yarn out of the way. And pulling up a loop. And we're going to yarn over, chaining through the first stitch, and then doing our half double through all 3. Let's do it again. So yarn over. Our next stitch we're going to go into is that right there. We're going to go underneath both of those loops. We're going to pull up a new loop, chain through that first one, and then pull it through all 3. Let's do it again. Yarning over first. And the reason we're yarning over is because essentially we're doing a half double. So you can foundation single crochet, you can foundation double, triple, but the preparation comes in the way in which you would do the stitch normally. So I would normally do a yarn over before I went into a stitch to make a half double. So that's why we're yarning over now. So yarn over. Our hook goes underneath both of those strands. We pull up a loop. So now there are 3 loops on our hook. We're going to chain through just that first one and then pull through all 3. So you can see that this down here is our chain, what would be our base chain. And then this up here, if we rotate it, is our half double. So let's do it one more time, and then I will meet you back here with all my chains done so we can turn them, so we can join them in the round. All right, so yarn over, underneath, grab a loop, chain through the first one, and then pull through all 3. Okay, I'm going to finish my line of chains and I'll meet you back here in a moment. Okay. I have all of my foundation half double crochets done. Let's take a look real quick at what we've got going on. So this is the manner in which or rather the direction that I was working. So I would have been working into the tops like this. However, once we get started, we realize that this is actually the bottom. So this ridge along here, this bottom, is actually that chain, that foundation chain, and then these are our stitches on top. So if we turn it over, we can begin to see that that's what it would look like right side up. Now let's say you wanted to work this flat. So for my piece, I'm actually gonna work it in the round, but let's say for your piece, you're gonna work it flat. All you would do is chain the required number of stitches that your pattern says, turn it and head to down. So you can just continue working across the tops of those stitches. Now for my piece that I'm going to be working on, I'm actually going to be joining it into the round. So to do that, we're going to make sure that the top of our stitches are actually facing the top. And then I want this yarn to actually be in the middle of my circle when I get ready to join it. So I'm going to grab this end, get that pesky tail out of the way, and identify that these are the 2 chains that I started with when we started way long ago, and we chained before we did all of our half double crochets. We did those 2 chains. So I'm actually going to work into the top, the second chain. I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to slip stitch to join those. Okay, so if we've done it properly, we will have a circle and it will not be twisted. Now if it is twisted, take out your slip stitch and start again. So you might notice that there's a bit of a gap right here, and that's okay. When we're done, we can take this tail and we can sew that shut. We can darn that closed. Not a big deal. All right, so that is how to foundation half double crochet, and a little bonus in how to join in the round. There you go.